The big news this week about Hasbro and their finances is that they have forecast a 3 to 5% downturn on Wizards of the Coast revenue for this year, 2024.
And that's to follow the 2023 hits like Baldur's Gate 3 and Lord of the Rings from Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to replace the big revenue boosters those were last year. What does this mean for both Hasbro and Wizards and the product lines that we love? We'll talk about that after the intro. I'm Dave.
And I'm Ryan.
This is the one and only RPG Rundown, and this video is... Hasbro forecasts Wizards' loss. Yeah, this struck me as a little surprising, but you know, what the pundits are saying is that it's going to be hard to follow the success of Baldur's Gate 3, like we said in the intro, and really hard to top the success of Tales of Middle-earth for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering wise, it has doubled every other set that has done well. So
yeah, huge success. They just don't see anything coming that close this year. Even with the anniversary of D&D, that part surprised me too. 50th anniversary of D&D. They are expecting a bump from the sales of the 2024 core books, but also those are coming out later than we expected.
Right.
With one not coming till 2025.
Right. So you can expect a loss of revenue over the rest of the year from that. You're going to see a lot of people waiting to buy the new stuff, even though it's all backward compatible with 5e.
As far as we know.
As far as
we've been promised.
As far as they say.
Yes.
We're going to see a lot of people probably holding out to see what the new books look like. And then you also have two separate launches. So you're not going to have a huge, end of Q2, or is it all in Q4?
September is when the first
so it's
one's
all
coming
Q4.
Out. Yeah.
So yeah, you'll see everything happen Q4. And you'll have a big spike in September, a big spike in November with those, along with any of the Magic sets that are coming around that time. Whatever universes beyond there are this year.
Yeah, yeah. And another piece of news I didn't fully understand is that they're expecting an uptick in 2025, partially due to Universes Beyond sets. They've committed to doing 2 a year. I thought they already were. They're doing at least 2 this year.
Yes. The difference being that this year it's smaller sets. So think more along the lines of the Jurassic Park or the Fallout or the Doctor Who sets. Very small, limited run sets. I think of 100 cards, if I remember right. Don't hold me to that number. Next year, you're seeing full expansion sets like Lord of the Rings.
Right. Because Doctor Who wasn't its own set. It was Commander decks and things like that.
Yeah, they had boosters.
Yeah. So it's important to remember that the Wizards of the Coast part of the company, that part of Hasbro, was the big moneymaker last year. So that's one reason I'm a little surprised there's a downturn. Their loss in Q4 across the whole company of Hasbro was even worse than forecast. They were expecting a loss. It was worse. It was $1.06 billion as reported. And yet at the same time, Wizards of the Coast made about $103 million in that same quarter. Right. That was the shining spot.
The shining light in the dark for Hasbro.
Yeah, and I was surprised to read that Honor Among Thieves, the D&D movie, was disappointing revenue-wise. When I was reading all this news, I thought it was one of the big boosters, but apparently it is not.
Yeah, I would have expected it to be a bigger booster too. I know it wasn't critically acclaimed necessarily, if I remember right. But it was a big enjoyment for me, and I think a lot of D&D fans. I quite enjoyed the movie. I know you had a few issues with it, but you know, as a player, I was like, oh, these are hitting all the real fun beats that we're going to get. And I would have expected it to be at least a minor hit, make a little bit of money for Wizard rather than be a loss.
Yeah, same here. I'm not sure what happened there. It might just be that, you know, first of all, it was amazing that it was better than that disaster with the Wayans brothers and Zora
Birch. Yeah, definitely wasn't the 90s D&D.
Right. Absolutely. But I guess, again, like they still just cannot follow up the huge success of this past year with the two big products, Baldur's Gate 3 licensing and the Magic the Gathering Tales of Middle-earth set.
Right.
Yeah. So Hasbro CEO Chris Cox has promised a lot more digital content. He wants to do more licensed computer games for D&D, like Baldur's Gate 3. Obviously, we knew that was going to happen because
Right.
it was a very unexpected smash hit.
Why wouldn't you want to do more Baldur's Gate like games?
Sure. So there's going to be a big push into more video games. He's wanting to do something like one a year, if I remember right from what I read, some kind of regular amount, whatever it was. Dicebreakers observed in their words that the D&D future is increasingly tied to outside media. And that also brings up Chris Cox's promise that there'll be Universes Beyond style content for D&D Beyond. What they want to do is open up D&D Beyond to licensed content from the outside, maybe kind of like they've done so far with the Magic the Gathering, the Strixhaven. I know that wasn't a popular setting, but they've done a couple of MTG universe settings, so going in the other direction from there into D&D. But I wonder what that really means beyond just that. Yeah. What other Universes Beyond style content are they going to do? You know, there's been an Alien RPG that's licensed from, I think, Free League. But what if it wasn't? Like, would they do an Aliens D20 game in the D&D Beyond system? It seems like if it's going to make them money, the sky's the limit on what they're willing to do.
Right. Well, it makes total sense that they're going to start doing some of this Universes Beyond style content. Mm-hmm. Wizards is already buying licensing for properties to use in one of their games.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So why wouldn't they continue to try and push these things into D&D and any other titles they have? The question is, how well will it translate from a paper card game to a tabletop RPG? Are you gonna get just Assassin's Creed in D&D, which I guess could be cool if you're gonna play that? Are you gonna get Spider-Man through D&D lens, or are they gonna keep it more traditional? And just maybe create some new character builds for you. Are you going to do a new class that might be superhero themed or something along those lines?
Right. It's hard to say, and they haven't said yet. I think they're just signaling now that they're open to it, which, again, makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, what shape that'll take, maybe they haven't decided yet, or, you know, they need to crunch numbers or figure all that out. But it's something that they want to do. Chris Cox also said that even user-generated content might come into D&D Beyond. I don't know exactly if he meant that it would be for sale. Like, you can put your own stuff on DriveThru RPG and sell it, and DriveThru gets a cut of it. My concern is then, is this going to become the DriveThru RPG that's specifically for D&D and is DRM'd up and could revoke your content at any time?
Right.
Because as we mentioned in another video about D&D going digital, this is a concern a lot of us have about print books becoming less and less available, maybe turning into just collector's items that are printed in very small runs for very expensive prices. Might be the only way you can truly own any D&D going past the 2024 editions, which by rumor or by speculation are already printed.
Right.
But it might be the last mass market printing they do. We also mentioned that in our D&D Goes Digital video.
Check it out.
Yeah. So what I wonder is, you know, I write a third-party adventure and I put it on D&D Beyond and they get a cut of the sale, but they own it. Is that going to be the agreement? We know they like to do that because of what they tried to do with OGL last year.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a huge worry for sure.
Yeah, they wrote it, but we decided that he doesn't have the right to get any cut of it anymore. I don't know. They could do that.
Yeah, totally.
Sounds crazy, but so did that initial OGL letter.
Right, yeah, exactly.
They do expect in 2025 that Wizards profit and all of Hasbro profit is going to swing upward again. So it seems like they're prepping the stockholders for a year of kind of stepping back, taking stock, doing a lot of belt tightening.
Right.
They said there would be more cost cutting, but they are optimistic about 2025. They have to be. No CEO is going to say,
right, yeah,
we're going to have 10 rough years and probably close the doors.
Exactly, yeah.
That would cause the stock price to tank.
As I think it kind of already did.
Well, yeah, now he's just trying to bail him out from that. Yeah, but of course he can't say that. But they do say they're optimistic about 2025, especially because of the more aggressive full sets of Universes Beyond stuff that's going to come out. Interestingly, even though there's this push toward more video games, Hidden Path Entertainment is a studio that was developing a D&D computer game or video game and made the news recently because they discontinued that. They laid off the staff. I don't know what the reasons are, but that's already faltering. That was something that I don't know if it was going to come out this year or just be worked on this year, but that's, as far as I know, the only CRPG D&D game that was being worked on.
Interesting.
And it's been scrapped.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's about, but it seems like that would slow them down from what they're trying to do.
Yep, that would slow down at least release dates.
Yeah. But in general, Cox has promised more expense cuts and a, quote, leaner business this year. I wonder if we're going to see more layoffs.
I would imagine.
Sounds like coded language for, we're going to do another round of layoffs, but don't worry, stockholders. It's cost savings.
Right.
We're retooling everything.
Now, the question will be, again, how much of that will come from WotC versus the general Hasbro population of, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It didn't make sense that they laid off a lot of Wizard staff at the end of last year. They laid off the guy who came up with the CR system for 5th edition. Although some of us might argue that he deserved it for that, but I'm kidding. I don't know the details of why he was laid off.
But again, like we kind of touched on in the last video, a lot of that was coming from print media.
Yes,
layoffs.
true.
So again, we're moving towards digital.
True, but that guy was a game designer. So who knows?
Yeah.
And, you know, had a huge role in the 5e thing.
Yeah.
But for all we know, they've got someone else teed up to do that, and they just didn't like what he was doing.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in the coming days. I think a lot of this, if it doesn't exactly back up the prediction that D&D is going to go more digital, and I think it does, but even if we don't think it does, it certainly doesn't contradict any of that at all.
Right. Exactly. Like we're just seeing more and more movement towards that. Whether they back up and reverse, who knows? But right now it's looking like most of it's going to go digital with very, very limited runs of anything print, and maybe more of a transaction-y looking D&D Beyond.
Pay for each class.
Yeah, I mean, you already can do that. You can buy classes.
Can you? I didn't even know that.
You can buy classes specifically out of the books. Yeah.
I did not know that. Oh, so more microtransactions.
Yeah.
All in all, I keep saying this, I think this is a result of D&D being a victim of its unprecedented massive success. 5th edition has crossed over into the mainstream and into large playing numbers like I've never seen any D&D edition do before. And I'm older than the game itself. So I was a child when OD&D was out, so I wasn't really around for that, but I have seen the game through many editions, you know, and I've dipped in and out of it through many editions, and I have never seen it capture the public consciousness like it has now. And maybe this is just the baggage that comes with the big flagship TTRPG getting this big.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. We'll watch to see what happens in the coming days, and we'll see what they do with the core books this year.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Of course, it always helps us out if you like and subscribe. And check this video's description for a link to a few other cool things from Game Talk Network. Links to other channels in the Game Talk Network, like the Board Game Rundown, the Miniatures Rundown, and the Lorcana Rundown. A link to our Patreon for the Game Talk Network, where RPG Rundown is one of the pledge levels you can select. And a link to our GTN Discord server. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Hasbro forecasts Wizards' loss.
I feel like it should be Wizards lost.
But it doesn't even have the financial meaning anymore at that point. Right. Hasbro has lost Wizards.
Yeah.
Where are they?
That's the money.
There's the outtake.
Yeah.